welcome to Kim Talks Resilience, where we share stories of insight and inspiration in life, love, and business with resilient women from around the world. Speaking with authors, entrepreneurs, founders, and coaches to learn their strategies for a more resilient life so we can all build the life we love. I'm your host, Kim Hayden. All right, welcome back to Kim Talks Resilience. I'm pretty excited that you are here sharing your time with me. And as you know, I love a great storyteller. And today we have Kay in studio. K.A. Oliver is a dynamic storyteller with degrees in communications, radio, TV, film, all from California State University, Fullerton, and an MBA in business. With decades in entertainment, she blends real-world insight and imagination, crafting resonant tales overcoming cancer and divorce. Kay defied Hollywood norms, turning to novels that celebrated women's strength. Disturbed Tombs marked her acclaimed debut, followed by award-winning works like Road to Elysium, and her latest, and I love this title, her latest, Ice Cream Moments, tackles family dynamics and empathy. She is a recognized marquee who's who in America for 2024. Oliver's legacy is legendary storytelling. It's cemented. So let's get her in here. All right, Kay.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry. So just so everybody knows, this is like take 2, take 3. We're having a little bit of tech glitches in the back, but it being persistent women, we're just making it happen.
That's right.
So, Kay, okay, we're going to touch on Johnny Carson later. But first, I would love for you to give me a bit of that. Who is Kay?
Kay is a passionate storyteller. I have been writing since 6th grade. I entered a speech contest, which I won, and the teachers actually debated giving me the award or not because they thought my parents wrote it. They did not. And from then on, I had written small, short stories just for myself or friends. And when I came to having to pick a degree, I'd had already done speech and debate and impromptu speaking in high school and junior high, and a lot of performance in drill team. And I decided to go into entertainment, Hollywood. It made perfect sense. I worked in Hollywood for over 30 years. The gender bias is real. It is still real, as you know, with the Oscars recently, and Barbie, and the lack of people getting nominated. And during that time, you mentioned it, I got what I call a surprise divorce because I was not expecting it. Half of my income walked out the door. And I say it that way because a few years later, I had been diagnosed with breast cancer. And the studio I was working for at the time let me go. I guess I didn't want to pay the insurance. I lost all my income and my insurance and survived that. I had a first and last, which writing, which means the studio gets to see the script first, and if people make an offer on it, they get to see the last to see if they want to buy it. Everybody loved the screenplays, but I was told that strong women leading women are not marketable. On top of all the news that you have heard over the last few years, where it's starting to come out what's happening in Hollywood. And I decided that I trusted myself, believed in myself. I survived with no income before. And I was going to do it again. And I became a writer. And that's when I took the leap into writing.
In the States, with not having the income being tied directly to your employer, that's a real struggle for creatives. And you touched on something very important. Can you share with us how did you push through? Because there's a lot of people facing the same issues. And, what was it that kept you forward to where you were able to gain those successes today?
Well, when I first started in Hollywood, I would say within the first year, I thought, I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to turn into those kind of people. I was fortunate enough to be working with a producer, Lloyd Thaxton. He's passed away now. beautiful man. Did the Gong Show, did several other shows, but he pulled me in his office and he asked me, what's going on? And I said, I don't want to become like this. And his words, which I never forgot, was, you don't have to change. You just be you. Know that there's going to be people who don't like you for being you, for standing your ground. You'll watch other people go up the ladder faster than you, but know that they also drop faster than you. And you will lay your head on the pillow at night and not have to worry about what you're doing. You're not hurting others. You're not, doing that. And I will say that, yeah, there were people who, when I stood my ground, I wanted equal pay. I was told two things. One, well, he has a family at home, so we need to pay him more. And I said, is it 9 to 5 or 5 to 9 that you're paying me for? And they didn't like to hear that. And then the second time I had to bring up being paid less, I was told, oh, we won't give him any raises until you catch up. $20,000 difference in pay per year. You know how long it's going to take to catch up, also against the law. So, yeah, and if you, no matter how you present it as a woman in those areas, you're a problem child. How dare you ask for equal pay? So, I just was watching Quiet on the Set, the story about Nickelodeon and what happened there. And I had to kind of turn it off after about 2 episodes because it just brought back, flashbacks as to the things I went through as a woman in Hollywood. So I started when we had big, huge cameras and batteries, and cell phones were not around yet. So,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
been quite the evolution. I do believe it is getting better. I do believe it is getting better.
yes.
We are seeing more women in the driver's seats, which then changes the disparity space between male and
Yeah.
female.
If the women get equal pay for movies, then they can afford the production studios that men have been doing for years, and then they can make those
Yeah,
movies. But we still saw it in the Oscars this year. So,
yeah, yeah. I mean, it will come. I do believe it
yeah.
is changing. I do believe it is changing. But first of all, I want to go back to the Gong Show. You worked on the Gong Show. I flippin'
No,
love the Gong.
no,
No.
I didn't work on the Gong Show. The producer I was working for did the Gong Show.
Oh, I love that show. I love
Yeah,
that show. The Hook killed me every time it came out. Every time
yeah.
it came out. What were some of the shows that you worked on? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I worked on David Horowitz, and that's where I met Johnny Carson because Johnny Carson was #1 at KMBC at the NBC network. David Horowitz was #2, so they parked next to each other. And that's where I started. It was kind of newsy. Then I went up to Seattle for a couple of years, continued my editing, writing for the news, and then got pulled into the news because someone was sick. That story. Then I decided I didn't want to be in front of the camera. There's too many things that happened. I, I, I just didn't. It wasn't me. And I went behind the camera, came back, and started working Universal. And I have, I don't know, 30, 35, 40 films that I've worked on.
Wow. Wow. Just the art of storytelling. And then that leads us to like challenging the norms
Yeah.
around character profiles and such. Uh, walk us through your journey of your first book that you put out.
The first book, interestingly enough, came from a question I had. I knew I wanted strong female characters because that's one of the screenplays I was writing. And the question was, why do we find it okay to unbury, excavate every mummy we find in Egypt or in the African continent? Sudan has more. And, but our graves are sacred. Why is that okay? Why are we, quote unquote, disturbing their peace when, that's how we see our graveyards? And so I started with Dr. Kellyworthy, and she is a archaeologist, of course, and I discussed that question. in the book. I don't want to give it away.
Yeah. No, we won't give it away. We won't give it away.
But, yeah. So
Um,
that, yeah. So that book
so,
won Book of the Year for 2022.
oh, wow. So this is like, and you do fiction primarily, correct?
Historical fiction or contemporary fiction? Yes.
Excellent. And somebody was saying the fiction is better because you can get into like serial, um, a series of books to where you can build audiences through those books. So
Yes. And
it's
so this is a series. So the third book coming out, Disturbing Remains, is the third book.
awesome. Yeah, I've interviewed quite a few authors, and they've said that, yes, and a lot of them have memoirs. But
Uh-huh.
they find that their fictional works actually can gain audience faster or, almost like a more dedicated audience that, hyper
Right.
excited. "Oh my god, the next one's coming out." And I have to say that I have a few authors that I've followed over the years, I think, and, we look at, like, what is it? Diana Garibaldi? I don't say that right. It's from, um I just lost it, the Scottish one. Sorry,
Oh, okay.
folks. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and she was turned into a movie and everything.
Yeah.
And I you get sucked into these characters.
Yes, you do, even as a writer. Yeah.
Oh, even as a writer, eh?
I want to marry the man in that book. I swear, I've written the perfect man. But I like fiction because fiction is creative, and you can turn at any point or do anything in the book. Though it needs to be, the kind of books I write a bit realistic. But if you're a people watcher, you've got a lot of stuff to work from.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always say that I wanna, tour the world one bus bench at a time. I wanna Forrest Gump my way around the world. I just love talking to people. Um, you had mentioned who is an author that inspires you?
Speaking of getting names wrong, Clive Clusler. I always want to put the L up front, but it's not. It's Kusler. So, yeah, I love his books. And I've read a lot of Clancy's. I
Yeah.
did read Anne Rice's. Just the way she writes was beautiful. So those are the kind of books that I normally would read. But those are
Yeah.
more, two of them are more military fiction,
Yeah.
but still good because those characters are nice men who treat women equally. So I think that's something that I like about those books because that's what I do. Women and men equal in my books.
And I think that's not I think, I know that that's where we're going, and I'm so grateful because as a mother of a 22-year-old daughter, it is nice to know that there is lots of there's change happening. Now I want to dive into Road to Elysium and give
Mhm.
me a bit more insight on this book. There it is
Okay.
right there, folks. And all your awards. Walk me through this. Oh,
So yeah, Road to Elysium has won at least seven awards, still winning awards. Um, it won best number one contemporary fiction at Book Fest. It won Book of the Year for 2023. It won silver medals. It's the book that was inspired, believe it or not, by an uplifting story at the end of a news segment. And I went online to find out more about the story, and there was nothing. I mean, I looked up the guy's name, I looked up, and there was just one little blurb in the newspaper, which is what probably somebody found to do the story in the first place. So it's inspired by a true story, and it is about a man named Ken who's lost everything. He's worked hard in his life, and due to a tragedy, he's lost hope, and he feels that he needs to like literally stare at pictures to remember people that he's lost. When something happens unexpectedly and changes his path immediately, he is asked a question by a young man, and his knee-jerk reaction is to say, "Sure, I'll teach you how to throw a ball." And it changes everything. Hope comes back in his life. Love is in his life. Redemption. He meets a woman who's actually known for a few years, but all of a sudden sees her differently, right? Because now he's out of that depression, and it changes everything in his life. And think of it as, and you're going to love this, It's a Wonderful Life meets Blindside. That,
Oh,
that's the book
that's
in a
a
nutshell.
that's a good analogy. That's a good mix. That's a good
Yes,
mix.
yes,
Um, and I think that right now in the world we're in, I can see why it's award winning because a lot of times fiction just mimics reality,
yeah,
right?
yes, yeah,
And
you're right. They say, yeah, truth is weirder than fiction because we have
yeah,
to make it reality. So, yes,
yes, and I know that in the world we hear a lot around people losing hope and a lot around people feeling lonely and isolated. And I know when I read a book, I never feel alone. I love
right.
I l- you know, what better way than to read a book that maybe will help guide you through the challenges that you're personally facing, right?
And that is what people tell me. People who read the book, which I find is the highest compliment, is that it transcends the pages and that they think about, wow, his knee jerk reaction, his yes to a question changed everything when he thought there was no hope. And they just say, and the way he handles problems and the problems you mention in the book and the way you talk about them is a little bit different than what normal public conversations are about. And I like the way that you think about it. And now I'm trying to think that way as well.
So, how many books do you have out?
I have 7 out, and I will have one more. Number 8 is coming out the week after next.
And that is so we are in currently, you guys, we are in April of 2024. So we're talking in May. Your next book
We're
launches.
talking April 29th.
Oh, that's my birthday. It's going to be an
Oh,
awesome launch. There
good
you
for
go.
you. I knew that.
High five. Amazing. And so the new book that's coming out, what can the readers expect from the new book? So give us a quick synopsis and what you hope that the readers will take away.
The new book is the third book in the series, Dr. Kellyworthy series. Disturbed Soon was 1, Grave Disturbances are 2, and this is Disturbing Remains. It's more, people wanted more of Derek, the man I want to marry. The people wanted more of Derek, the readers did. They said, oh, I was intrigued with the Derek part of the story in the second book. So it is more around Derek solving a murder when they find a torso in a trash can and no identifying marks on it, of course. So, if you know anything about police work, they have to identify the victim before they can do anything else. Due to his wife's discovery in the first book, there is an easy way to do that, but will he break the law to do it? That's a great question. Or will he use old police tactics? So, those two worlds come together because Callie also has a good friend named Doris, who is also an archaeologist, who is working on a Canadian mummy. She was a frozen woman that they found up in Canada. And using the skills that Callie had accidentally discovered when working on the mummies that she has in the first book, they're able to get more information about the Canadian's life, the frozen mummy's life, and they find an exquisite cave that has something remarkable in it, and the two lives blend together, hers and her husband's, in solving his crime and unraveling the information about the Canadian native.
Oh, so lots of threads to pull on in that book.
Yes.
Now, has anybody ever approached you about doing a movie or a film? Because I know that like Netflix is always looking for new content, and have you been approached for any of those with
Yeah,
being in a more?
actually, Road to Elysium in particular is, I think, Netflix has it. To look at another streaming service has it, and a producer has it. So there's
Oh wow.
whoever. is smart enough to make me an offer. You know,
There you go.
and I drafted the script for Road to Elysium because of my background. So it's, you know, almost like ready to rock and roll.
Very cool. And that's the one benefit of today's. We were talking earlier, folks, about the Johnny Carsons and the Marilyn Monroes and Dean Martins, and we go back in the back. But this is back in a time where we were in a 3-channel universe, so it was a very highly concentrated audience, and so you got these super mega stars, and now, though, with the way that media is set up, there's more opportunity to have your content seen, to have your content produced, and I think instead of having like mega stars, we have more micro stars, which is fabulous because it gives more people the opportunity to grow within their skill set and their passion. Who would you like to see play your lead in Road to Elysium?
First choice would be Kevin Costner. Second choice would be Jeremy Renner.
There you go. Kevin Costner was our Stampede Parade Marshal last year here in Calgary.
Oh, fantastic.
Everybody loves, and he's up here quite a bit, actually. He films quite a bit in Alberta. So,
Yeah,
real quick, I want to go through all of your social medias because can we get all the books? So they're in bookstores. Like, where can we buy your books?
you can buy them on Amazon.com. They're also on my website, kaoliver.com. They are available in Barnes and Noble. They're, especially if you want to get a digital copy, they're, any retailer. I found it at Walmart. I had no idea.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, folks, you can follow Kay Twitter, the amazingly Oliver. That's a great tag. TikTok is the Hollywood_gal. Instagram is the _Hollywood_gal. Facebook, author K.A. Oliver. And LinkedIn is, again, K.A. Oliver. So we'll have all this in our show notes. And Kay, I always like to close out the show with a quote that inspires you because, people listen in because they want to find like-minded or people they want to be like. What is we have this do everything you do with the intent of love. This is a quote you submitted. Why is this important to you?
It is very important to me because it is an intent, right? What are you doing? What is your intent? So even if you want to try it for yourself, we breathe every day. We breathe all day long and we don't really think about it. But if you think about loving yourself when you breathe and you take in that breath and you let it out, there's a little tingle, a little different feeling when you realize you're loving yourself by breathing. So everything that you do with the intent of love, you can't go wrong. Maybe things won't turn out for you the way you thought they might, but you were on the right side. You gave your best shot. You're helping people. I mean, be safe about it because there's things that people say you should go do X. And I go, I'm not going to approach somebody, for safety, but do everything that you do with the intent of love and you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong for yourself.
And I love that saying, give yourself 6 months, 12 months, whatever timeline you want to set, and just say yes to every opportunity as long as it's legal and moral.
Yes.
Sometimes legal and moral have shades of gray, so we'll let you say that.
Yes, exactly. I like that.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm excited. I'm going to go out and get Road to Elysium because it sounds like it would actually be a good book even for my oldest son because it's not easy for a lot of our 30-year-olds out there. The world's gotten super expensive, and my oldest son is an amazing father, and he's working so hard just to keep everything balanced. And this will be a great book for him.
There's a couple of things that Ken, who's the lead character who meets Michael, has to deal with as a father-son situation. So he'll love it. I'm sure he's
Excellent.
done the same thing. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kay. You know what, folks? Just remember, I just give yourself some grace. And at the end of the day, it's just you got to be good to yourself. You have to be good to yourself because you're the first line of defense to all the crazy out there, and you deserve to have the best life possible. Until next time. Thank you for joining us here today at Kim Talks Resilience. I'm your host, Kim Hayden, and I'd love to invite you to our resilient community at resilientgift.com. That's resilientgift.com, and we'll send you our magazine and tickets for upcoming events and all sorts of cool things we do here. So be sure to keep watching, and you know what? Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, because we all know that sharing is caring.